It just seemed that crepes were the right recipe for Valentine's week. It's a good recipe to know about and so easy to make if you follow the rules. And there are rules. Crepes being a French dish, there are always rules to follow. There's nothing easier than making a crepe batter, but there are a few rules. The first rule is it should be made in a blender, although you can do it by hand, but I like to use my blender. And I'm starting with half a cup of white flour, to which 1/8 of a teaspoon of salt has been added. My next addition are 2 eggs to my milk, all at once, in with the flour. Now just turn on the blender and mix it until it's thoroughly blended. Push it around with your spatula to make sure that all the flour has been mixed thoroughly, and it has. And now the most important part of the crepe making process. The batter needs to rest for at least 1 hour and up to 48 hours. You can transfer it into the refrigerator and use it over the next couple of days, but do not try to make your crepes until it has rested for at least 1 hour. So let's make some crepes. My batter has been resting actually for about 3 hours, so it'll be definitely ready to cook. My pan's been on flame, and this is just a water test. You want to drop a few droplets, and when your water bounces like that, you know your pan is ready to accept the butter. Some people will recommend putting about a tablespoon of butter in your pan. I much prefer to do it one at a time, just brushing it. And you're going to put in about 1/4 cup of batter. Swirl your pan. When your edges start getting brown, it's time to turn it. Now, tradition has it that the first crepe is never a particularly good crepe. So if you don't do a good job of the first one, not to worry. This recipe will make about 8 crepes. You're looking for paper thin, and this is a perfect crepe. This one is not going to be one that we're going to discard. So back we go, putting it on, transferring it to a plate. Again, pan on the stove, melted butter, swirl it around. Not too much because you don't want these to be thick. Swirl your pan. Your batter needs to be able to move freely in the pan, so if you get it too thick, you're going to know. Now, one of the reasons that you rest that batter for at least 1 hour is for the flour to form the gluten, which is what gives structure to these crepes. And if you don't do that, they will not hold together. Edges are starting to brown. With your spatula, turn it. 1 minute on this side. A couple of fun things to know about crepes is that their origin is actually in Brittany. They go back into the 14th century, and they've just been around forever in France. The crepes made with white flour are almost always sweet crepes, so you would use that for a dessert crepe. And if you make the crepe mix with buckwheat, which they do in France, that will almost always be a savory crepe. They're very different than these white flour crepes. The other interesting factoid about crepes is that in France, it's the #2 favorite dessert, with the chocolate fondant being the #1 and crepes following in for a close second. Okay, we have one more. Crepes are such a wonderful Valentine's Day dessert, or for breakfast, or for a brunch, or whenever you want to, but there's just something so romantic about a crepe. So now it's time to build our crepes. Take your crepe, lay it on a plate. You have your ricotta lemon filling. Nice spoonful in here. Roll it. Again, because everybody should have at least 2 for a serving. Now, a generous spoonful of that beautiful cherry sauce that you can make. And a final dusting of powdered sugar. These lovely lemon cherry crepes are so easy to make. The crepes can be made ahead of time and wrapped and frozen. They keep for several months in the freezer. Just take them out before you're ready to serve them, thaw them, and then fill them. This is a quick and easy, beautiful dessert and always a family favorite.